Thank you, Priscilla. So before I get started, I'd just like to recap a few things I heard this morning. The World Bank's Human Capital Index shows us that a child born on our continent today will only be 40% as productive as they could with complete education and full health. Our continent has the youngest population in the world, with over 60% of people under the age of 25. This means that there are over 200 million youth on our continent. And our unemployment rate is extremely high, averaging over 20% across the continent. And in some of our countries, it's as high as 70, 80%. We have the highest youth unemployment rate in the world at over 30%. And if you break that down further, young women face even higher unemployment rates than young men. By 2030, our continent is expected to make up 42% of the world's youth and account for 75% of those under the age of 35. And this keeps me up at night. So, when we talk about human capital, what we're really talking about is the most powerful force for transformation, the knowledge, the skills, and the capabilities that make people productive. And essentially, we're talking about people. We're putting people at the center. So, human capital development for me refers to the processes of enhancing or optimizing skills, your knowledge, your abilities, and the experiences of individuals within your workforce. I like to think of it as an invisible infrastructure that powers economies. We build it through education, by strengthening healthcare, and refining this through experience. So, unlike machines that depreciate over time, I really do believe that human capital grows stronger with use. Just as muscles grow with exercise, our capacity to create value compounds over time. It's the only investment that walks home every evening and returns each morning with even more potential. And in today's economy, I really do think that the self-enforcing style of growth makes human capital our most precious resource. So when I think about those statistics that I just shared and the ones in the morning, I really think we need to flip the script. What some people see as a challenge, I see as our superpower. And that our youth are not just a demographic, but imagine 200 million minds, 200 resources that are bursting with creativity, hungry for opportunity, and really armed with tools for the digital age. And for me, this is not a crisis. It really is a revolution waiting to happen. And so, going into your second question, when I think about, so what does this mean for us? And why is it important? And I think it goes back to this intensely massive untapped potential. And if we invest, and this idea of why we're investing in human capital, and then it's not just about our continent, right? It's about global prosperity. So if I think about kind of where we need to be investing and opportunities, because I'm always thinking about where the opportunities. If everyone is saying we are the continent with the world's youngest population but the lowest skills, all right, 60% of Africans are under 25, and 85% of our children on our continent cannot read even a simple text by the age of 10. If we could transform this youth bulge into skilled talent, that's $500 billion to annual GDP growth across our continent. The innovation gap is costing us trillions. We produce only 2% of global research output, and only 17% of the world population is what we have, but we only produce 2% of global research output. If we could, and this is where the work that Michael does is so important, if we could boost STEM education, we could generate $1.5 trillion in new business value by 2030. That's around the corner for us. We talk about the job skills mismatch, and 80% of African workers are in vulnerable employment. But if we could figure out how to rapidly upskill and look at productivity gains, and I'm talking about using technology, using innovative pedagogy, we could grow 200 million 30 jobs by 2030. And then when we think about rounding out what human capital means, it's not just about the skill, but it's about this health environment we have and how healthy is our human capital. Our continent only has 3% of the world's health workers, but we have 24% of global disease burden. So if we could figure out by 2030 again, which is really around the corner when you think about it, how can we train 6 million more health professionals? We could save 3.1 million lives annually. So these are the things that really make me think about kind of where's the gap and where's the opportunity. And I like to think of it as opportunity. So if we're going to have the world's largest workforce by 2030, larger than India or even China, where do we need to invest? We need to invest in people today if we really want to make sure this demographic dividends pays off for us first, and then of course for the rest of the world. Thank you.